I just learned how to turn those lights on. It's beautiful. Hello everybody, welcome back to day 2 of my 30-day Get Good at Pool challenge. Now, since the disaster that was the game yesterday, I've done a fair bit of research into basic rules and terminology to kind of help me through this process. For example, you probably know that the white ball is called the cue ball, and that getting the white ball in a pocket by accident is called scratching. But did you know that every other ball is called an object ball, and getting an object ball in a pocket is generally called sinking it? So, if you hear me talking about object balls, then it's anything other than the cue ball. And I also learned the basic rules of what happens if you scratch or sink an illegal object ball. So if you do either of those things, or even if you take a shot and don't make a ball, if you don't make an object ball in, then that's just a foul. And there's the same penalty for doing any of those three things, which is your opponent gets ball in hand. Now what that means is they get the cue ball and they get to put it anywhere they want on the pool table and then take any shot that they want, which to me just sounds so ridiculous. Like if I had a real person here trying to teach me how to play pool and they told me that was the penalty for missing, I'd probably think they were just trying to get one up on me. But turns out that's the rule. So this rule is going to be super important for me, not just because I'm bad and I miss a lot, but because in most single player variations of pool, there is no opponent to get ball in hand, which means anytime that you foul in a single player game, that's pretty much game over right there. Needless to say, there's a lot of work for me to do before I can even reasonably think about setting a challenge for myself to test my skills at the end of the 30 days. So to do that, I've picked out 2 practice games that I'm going to be using to figure out what I'm doing and to kind of hone my skills. So the first game is a game that I found on Reddit, so I don't know if it has a real name, but a lot of people call it either backwards pool or cowboy. And it starts the same way that a traditional pool game would start, with all 15 balls racked on one side, cue ball on the other side, you break, everything's normal, but then things start to get a little backwards. In a traditional game of pool, you hit the cue ball into an object ball and try to get that object ball into a pocket. In backwards pool, you're actually hitting an object ball into the cue ball, and you still want the object ball to go into a pocket. The main 2 reasons that I picked this game were, 1, it sounds pretty simple, and 2, it doesn't sound that challenging, which is really good for me since I'm not very good. But it's also supposed to be really good at kind of figuring out your angles and kind of teaching you, how you want to shoot the ball to get it to go the direction you want. So hopefully that's what we'll learn here. Well, I was definitely right about reverse pool being a lot of fun, but it was actually much more challenging than I had first thought it would be. I will say that I did complete that game much faster than the game yesterday. But I found myself in a lot of situations where the cue ball was, say, right in the middle of the table, and just thinking to myself, okay, I don't have a valid move this turn. There's absolutely no way that I could get a ball in. So it's got this interesting challenge where you're really dependent on where the balls are on the table. And I know that sounds weird. Of course you're dependent on where the balls are, but it's a different dimension than regular pool is, I think. Also, there's an aspect to it that I didn't understand at first, which is people were saying it was really good at controlling your angles. And at first I was thinking, well, okay, you're hitting a ball into another ball. How are the angles here different than in a regular game of pool? And the difference is that you're not controlling the angle of the object ball, you're controlling the angle of the cue ball. And do quotations because you're doing this in kind of a reverse order. So bear with me here as I try to explain this. So in a normal stroke, there are 2 balls that you are concerned with at any time. There's, first of all, the ball that you hit with the pool stick. So let's call that ball 1. And then once you hit ball 1, you send it into another ball. So let's call that ball 2. So in a normal game of pool, it's kind of all about how you hit ball 1 into ball 2 and controlling the direction of ball 2 so that it goes into a pocket. Well, this game is all about controlling the direction of ball 1. So you hit ball 1 into ball 2, and you're trying to determine the outcome of where ball 1 is going to land. And that's super important for like a traditional game of pool, because it means that it's going to help you control where the cue ball ends up. And that is a super important tactic in pool that I've not been able to do because I just don't understand it. And that's controlling where the cue ball ends up so that you can set yourself up for another shot. And that's what this game is all about. It's about teaching you where the cue ball is going to end up. And so I think it's an amazing practice tool that I'm going to be doing every day. Now, the next practice game is the one that I'm not excited for. The next one is called Ghost. And this one is all about sinking as many shots as you can without missing at all. So there's kind of like a basic scoring system where you start with 3 balls on the table, not including the cue ball, and your objective is to hit all 3 balls into the pocket in 3 shots. And as you get better, you kind of work your way up. And the professional level, I guess, is pretty much 10, is knocking 10 balls in 10 shots. And if you ever miss, then it's game over. There's no second chances. You miss, you are done. This one's going to be hard. But it's kind of necessary considering that every real pool game is all about getting in shots without missing. So I'm going to start with 3 balls. And over the course of this month, I'm going to see how high I can work my way up. Scratch this much when I had the chicken pox. I have officially lost track of how many games I've played, and I'm still only on the first level. This is gonna be a long night. Now, as I move forward through the week, I'm pretty much just gonna be doing what you saw here over and over and over again. So instead of posting the same exact video for like 5 days in a row, I'm basically just gonna skip all that and compile it into kind of a recap, which I'll do at the beginning of next week, when hopefully I'll be able to start training in like a real game that I can score myself in and use to track my progress at the end of the 30 days. So I will see you guys in about a week. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Just kidding, I'm back. Not many games after I stopped recording, I knocked in all 3. I finished Ghost level 3 or level 1 or whatever you want to call it and moved up to 4 balls. And then I didn't win 4 balls, but in my very first 4-ball game, I almost won and I got an amazing shot. I got an amazing break, which I'm so glad I got on camera. But anyway, that's the end of today. I will have a recap up for you next week of what's been going on, and I'll start talking about the actual game that I'm going to be playing. So stay tuned. Thank you for watching. I'll see you later.